welcome back to another episode of the Get Back Coach, presented by Apollo Media. It's winding down. We got 2 weeks of the regular season left, and it is time to recap a huge weekend of college football. I thoroughly enjoyed it from my couch. But Jay, tell them who we're brought to him by.
This year, we are thrilled to be brought to you by BattleBets. BattleBets is a college football-specific fantasy gambling app. What does that mean? It means it's 100% free to play. You place bets. They're not real money, so you're risking nothing. Just to prove a little bit of college football knowledge to your friends, go check out BattleBets. Download the app. Tell them that we sent you by selecting us as your ambassador in the refer section. Once again, 100% free to play. It's a blast. We've had a lot of fun with BattleBets all season. Looking forward to keeping that going. But let's talk college football, because it is a massive, like you said, a massive week, a massive Saturday, and some news outside of the field, outside of the lines to talk about to start this episode off.
Yeah, a couple hours ago, we are recording. This is Monday night. James Franklin officially hired at Virginia Tech. We have talked about James Franklin a lot on this podcast, with me being a Penn State fanatic. And I don't have a lot of the ill will that a lot of Penn State fans have towards him. However, I do think as a Penn State fan, you have to be a little worried, because Penn State has been dominating that DMV area for a while, or, I mean, to say the least, doing pretty well there. And they have done decently well in Virginia. And this hire could hurt Penn State, because Virginia, it's the same pipeline. And we know James Franklin can recruit. So I think it's a great hire for Virginia Tech. I think it's good for James Franklin. It's a place that is a bit of a mess right now. He definitely has his work cut out for him. And he has a tough road next year as schedule wise. Virginia Tech has one of the tougher schedules in the ACC next year, but the expectations aren't going to be as high. They're not going to expect him to compete for national titles. They just want their program back. And that's what James Franklin does. He goes to places. Penn State was a mess in 2014. Again, Bill O'Brien did a good job stabilizing. James Franklin did a great job taking Penn State back to that top 10-ish level. I think it's a great hire. And it's going to be interesting to see how this works out, because Virginia Tech does not have the resources as Penn State has. So we shall see. I think it's a great hire.
I think it's a great hire. Really interested to see how it goes. I think Virginia Tech is just one of those places that's more fun when they're good at football. Had a lot of fun watching that program in the 2000s and the Beamer era. When Inter Sandman gets going at a night game, in Blacksburg, it is an electric environment, and I hope to see him kind of get back to that level. So really interested to see what James Franklin does there in Blacksburg. I like you, Jake. I think this is a good hire. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
I think at worst, I'm going to be honest. I think at worst, I think you're looking at a team that's going to go 8-4 consistently. Mm-hmm. That's only going to take you so far, but I think that is going to be their floor. Yeah, I think 8-4. I truly believe, and I know Beamer ball was booming in the early 2000s. I think they can get back to a consistently ranked team. And listen, with Clemson being down right now and Florida State being down right now, why not Virginia Tech to come out of the woodwork there? But I think it's a great hire. I think it's a hire they needed. I am interested to see how it is going to play along. And here's the other thing, Jay. If he does really well, in a couple years, he might go for a top job. But that's speculation. Yeah. That's in the future. That's too far down the line.
Yeah, we don't have the crystal ball for that. Let's get into the actual football program that you just mentioned. Clemson takes down Louisville on Friday night. It was a Friday night game, 20-19. This was a game where it felt like both teams kind of struggled to get anything going offensively, which is obviously has been the struggle this year for Clemson, but it felt like the defense really stepped up in a big way for the Tigers. Big win for that program. Louisville, obviously needed this win to stay in the ACC title hunt. This is a tough loss for the Cardinals and Jeff Brom.
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned Jeff Brom, who I think is a great coach, and to be this underdog all the time, it's huge for Jeff Brom because again, he wins those big games. But this is another game Louisville should have had. And I feel like too many times in his tenure, he drops these games. But Jay, here's a stat for you. Both teams, 3 for 24 on third down. Not good. And here's the other thing that I thought was that stuck out to me in this game. Both running backs, and Adam Randall and Keyshawn Brown, I think were the stars of the game. Both running backs for both teams, the absolute stars of this game. Clemson looked like they almost trying to give it away at the end, but Louisville misses a kick. Louisville again falls to 7-3. They're out of the playoff.
Yeah. All right.
Here
Well,
it is.
I guess it's
Come
time
on.
to talk Saturday.
It is.
One of the most insane games I've ever been to. And that's saying something considering I've also been to a 7 overtime thriller and played in a Chick-fil-A Bowl that featured a daring comeback by Texas A&M. 30-3 at halftime was the score. South Carolina was up on Texas A&M. 27-point deficit. I think teams were 0 and 286 when trailing by that much in the SEC. And that changed with one of the grittiest performances. I mean, that first half, I think, was about as bad a half of football as I've ever seen any of my teams have. Probably comparable to the half that we had against Bama in 2014 when we got absolutely waxed. The difference is this team is full of grit. This team just never stops fighting. You have dynamic playmakers on the offensive side of the ball like Casey Concepcion. Mario Craver banged up, but Ashton Bethel-Roman steps up. Isaiah Williams, who hasn't been used much at all this year, had the first big touchdown to really spark it. EJ Smith coming through in the goal line. Nate Borkircher, who's been a revelation at tight end for A&M, and the offense wills them back into the game. Meanwhile, the defense holds strong, does not allow a second half point, which is just a massive swing in momentum for A&M to come back and win 31-30. Again, just a terrible, terrible first half. Marcel Reed looked flustered. He had 2 interceptions, I think 2 fumbles as well. One of them recovered by South Carolina. Really could have thrown more interceptions, was not throwing the ball well. Had some bad drops too. Casey Concepcion had an uncharacteristic drop in the end zone. It just felt like everything that could go wrong for A&M did go wrong in that first half. And to utterly flip the script like they did in the second half was incredibly impressive. I mean, it's hard to put into words just how dramatic that comeback was. I do want to give credit. I'm biased here, obviously, as an A&M guy, but I do want to give credit to the fans for sticking it out because I think a lot of people would have left down 27 at halftime after the band performed. But it was still extremely loud there in the third and fourth quarter. And again, just Marcel Reed buckling down the whole squad, doing what it took to come back. And, you almost gave it away at the end with what was a very questionable play call that resulted in a fumble. A little bit of a wildcat snap to Jamarian Morrow, who tried to throw it to Marcel Reed. I don't love Colin Klein's thinking there at the end of the game. But it didn't matter because the defense buckled down again. Cassius Howell, an incredible playmaker. Tyler Onyedem, the Iowa State transfer at defensive tackle, I thought had a great game, even if he didn't show up as much on the stat line. Just an incredibly gutsy team performance to come back win this game. And now you're at 10 wins for the first time in the regular season since 2012. You have Samford next week, so you're really at 11 wins. And this has pretty essentially clinched, I think, A&M in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. Jay, I was worried. I was worried for your well-being. I was sitting on the couch. I was watching Michigan, Northwestern, Notre Dame, Pitt, and I'm thinking, I'm just seeing the ticker, and I'm seeing 24, 14-0, 24. And I'm like, whoa. Like, what's going on here? Then 30-3. And I'm texting in my chats. I'm like, what is Jay thinking right now? And they're talking like shock. He's feeling shock. He's feeling pain. And then I was like, I honestly believed, I was like, okay, if they get one touchdown out of the gate, they have a shot. And then it just slowly, but I mean, they almost took the lead in the fourth or
In the
in the third
third.
quarter. In the
Yeah.
third quarter, like after the third quarter, it's like, oh,
It's a
A&M
one-score
has.
game after the third quarter.
I was like, oh, they have all the momentum now. Marcel Reed, man, probably as worst of a first half you could possibly have, and just a heroic effort. And hats off to that Aggie defense for buckling down. The halftime adjustments that they made, I mean, absolutely incredible. I also think South Carolina got caught in quicksand where A&M scores, A&M scores again, and now it's a whoa, this can't happen. And then the puckeration starts to
Yeah.
happen, and then it was all A&M. But I'm happy for it. I'm happy that you got to experience it and witness it. I mean,
I
what
mean,
a feeling!
I never
What a
want to
feeling!
see a game like that again, to be honest with you. But it was a good feeling walking out of there with that
Yeah.
win, knowing how bad things could have gone. And
Oh,
honestly, in years past, there's no way A&M completes that comeback. But
no.
this team's just built different.
It might be their year.
We'll see what happens. There's a lot of football left to play.
I'm already putting it in.
It is. I'm just living in the moment, taking it
There
day
you
by
go.
day, and enjoying the fact that this is the best season I've seen A&M have in my lifetime.
Happy for you, man.
Speaking of, you were talking about that Notre Dame Pitt game where Pat Narduzzi said they could lose by 100. They didn't lose by 100, but they
No, they
did lose
didn't.
37-15, and it felt like Notre Dame pretty much controlled this game start to finish.
Yeah, Notre Dame jumps out to a 14-0 lead within seconds. Jeremiah Love had an absolutely gorgeous touchdown run. If you have not seen it, please check it out. And then a pick
Dude, that
six.
spin move.
Oh.
Gotta say that spin move was absolutely filthy.
Oh my God! Like
just picture perfect.
Braxton Miller at Virginia Tech type of stuff. And then Pitt hangs around for a little bit. But Notre Dame takes control. That last touchdown, it should have been 37-7 or 37-6, 37-7. But they scored at the end. Pitt did. Here's the other thing about about Notre Dame that I really enjoy. We all know about Jeremiah Love. Dude, their receivers, particularly Malachi Fields, had a great day. Even when CJ Carr didn't. CJ Carr didn't have the best day, but they still scored 37 points. He had 2 picks. But Malachi Fields, I thought, had a huge day for Notre Dame. He's a one to look for. Adon Schuler had a huge hit. I love him in the secondary. Pitt's new quarterback, freshman dude, Mason Heischel.
Yeah.
I like him. I do. I really like him. He took his lumps out there, but I think that's a guy. Again, I still like Eli Holstein. I'm still a Holstein guy, but I think there's a reason why. I mean, this dude looks pretty good, and I think this is the guy. Again, I hate Pitt. I'm not going to hide it, but for Pitt, keep this guy around and develop him because I think he can be your franchise dude.
And I think if Pitt keeps Cade Bell in the fold, I think he's a very, very good offensive coordinator and is a guy that can help develop, right? Like you've seen some other guys from FCS. Cade was at Western Carolina, I believe, before this. You've seen other guys make the jump and have success. Eric Morris is a guy that comes to mind. I think this is another guy who's just really good at developing quarterbacks. So we'll see if that continues. But yeah, Notre Dame feels like a playoff team now at this point as well.
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen. I will say, I mean, Pitt gets in big games like this, and this kind of happens to Pitt sometimes.
Yeah, but again, like you would have liked to have more confidence from your coach going into this one. Obviously, Pitt's still alive in the playoff race with their ACC chances, so they're not out of it either. But I think this is kind of the game that you're looking at if Pitt does make the playoff, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
you kind of you see what their ceiling is.
Mm.
Notre Dame, I think, has a much higher ceiling to make it to even with their
Yes.
flaws to win a few games in the playoff. We'll kind of continue to monitor that situation as the season goes on. I believe next up we have Michigan surviving the friendly confines of Wrigley Field against
Yeah.
Northwestern 24-21. This was a little bit more dramatic than expected, Jake.
Yeah, Michigan. Every time you thought Michigan was going to take control of this game, Northwestern found a way to fight back here. Um, Northwestern only had 61 yards of rushing. And here's the thing, Preston Stone is not that great of a passer. Those balls he throws up seem like they're just floating in the air forever, and it's just like the receivers have to make 50-50 balls all the time. But Northwestern takes the lead. Um, Michigan, two costly picks in Northwestern territory. And I think, or sorry, there's a pick and then a fumble. I think that is what kept Northwestern in this football game. Um, I do want to, before I go back to Michigan, David Braun, I know they lost. The job he has done at Northwestern should be commended. This is a team that is not talented. Okay. They have limited number of athletes, and they are in every game. And he puts them in position, and they play discipline. And I love the job David Braun has done. I mean, again, it looks like old Pat Fitzgerald teams, like
Yeah.
of when they were getting started. So Northwestern is still the Northwestern we knew under Pat Fitzgerald. Just Pat Fitzgerald's not there.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, expected Northwestern to be the bottom of the conference this year.
Mhm.
I think they've been impressive. They still have a shot to get to bowl eligibility. Just need to win one of their final two. So really great effort from David Braun and what this program has been able to do this year. Just echoing kind of everything you said with
Yeah.
maybe not having the athletes that some of the other places in the Big Ten have, but just having the uh, ability to be in the right place at the right time and the belief in the process to make it a fight every time you're playing against this squad.
Oh, absolutely. A big day for Michigan. John Marshall, 142 yards rushing, two touchdowns. I think he was that X factor. Underwood wasn't playing well, but Michigan did a really good job on the ground against Northwestern's front. And again, John Marshall, huge, absolute huge day for them. We continue with on the West Coast. USC comes back to beat Iowa. Iowa was up 21-7, and they could not score in the second half. USC shuts them out in the second half, and then USC, led by Makai Lemon, who just is not fair, they come back and they beat Iowa 26-21.
Yeah, Makai Lemon is one of the most exciting receivers in college football. If you haven't checked him out, go at least scrape his highlights, check some of that out. Really fun to watch. But again, credit to the USC defense for stepping up. Yes, Iowa is not an offensive powerhouse, but they've been able to score in recent weeks. They've just found a little something. I think there was a little trick play from Kirk
That
Ferentz
was, yep,
uh,
trickeration.
that you don't really expect too much from Iowa, but was another really fun game. I was kind of like checking in on this on my phone, just trying to keep up with it, and then caught some of the highlights once I got home. And man, I think this is big for USC because they showed they can win some of these physical games like this.
Yeah. I think this is a huge win for USC. Again, just they have to prove that they can win a physical game in the trenches. And I think that was this game. They have better athletes than Iowa. They utilized that, but they were able to at least match them physically. Shout out Danton Lynn, defensive coordinator for USC. I thought a great job, absolutely great job in the second half there. Jay, that last completion or that last incompletion, huge play. Iowa would have been on USC's like 15, and he's just out of bounds. Like Iowa, there was a bounce for an interception. Iowa just did not catch it. The ball just did not break the Hawkeyes' way in this one. But USC played a heck of a football game in the second half.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's a game of inches, right? Like it's just sometimes you need the breaks, and Iowa didn't get them there at the end of the game, but that's just part of it. Moving on to our next contest that we wanted to talk about, Navy pulling off the upset, beating South Florida. I don't think we saw this coming, but this was a huge win for Navy in the middle of a tough stretch of games for them.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right, you have Notre Dame, Navy, Notre Dame, Memphis, South Florida, all here at the end of the season for Navy. So this is a big one for the midshipmen to get. It's 41-38 is not the score that a lot of people expected. Now, personally,
you had the over.
I did say that Navy has been able to sling it a little bit this year. And you might get a little bit more high scoring than you expect. That did come to pass, 41-38 the final. This American Conference is a blast to watch.
It's so good. You called the Jay, high scoring. Jay, 1,000 yards of total offense between these two teams. And also, Horvath from Navy, 8 for 15. He threw the ball 15 times, Jay. Some great catches in there with Teska was one of them.
Heidenreich had the one-handed grab.
Heidenreich had the one-handed grab. They just had USF's number, it just seems like they just figured it out. Listen, the American standings, you have North Texas at 9-1, Navy at 8-2, Tulane at 8-2, and then you still have USF and ECU. This is such a fun conference right now to watch. And huge for the midshipmen, because I think a lot of people were going into this game like, well, Navy had such a weak schedule. This is huge, absolutely huge for them.
Yeah, and the other thing, right now you have 4 teams tied at the top of conference with 1 loss. Navy has 1 conference loss. Tulane, UNT, ECU, all with 1 conference loss after ECU pulled off the big upset of Memphis, which was earlier in the week. Navy still has Memphis left on the schedule. The Army-Navy game at the end will be after conference play and the conference championship, so that doesn't factor into this. North Texas, I feel like, has probably the best path to the American Conference game with Rice on the road and then Temple at home. You look at ECU, UTSA, and FAU are both winnable games for them. Tulane, they have Temple and Charlotte left, right? So, barring some upsets, I feel like South Florida is probably out of it at this point with them having 2 conference losses. But, man, it's wild to see how this plays out. Navy at Memphis is going to be a huge one this week.
Oh, absolutely. That American, that can go all it can go all these different ways. And then if you have total chaos, now you have other group of 5 teams praying for the downfall of this conference so that they can sneak in. But yeah, absolutely huge.
Yeah. And then moving on from this, we had Oklahoma pulling off the upset in Tuscaloosa, 23-21. The Oklahoma defense is the story in this one. One of the things that I was concerned about for Alabama going into this game, if Ty Simpson had struggled this year, it was against teams that could really rush the passer. That just happens to be something that Oklahoma is very good at.
Yeah.
Oklahoma did enough offensively with Mateer to get the job done, but really the story of this is the Oklahoma defense, their ability to create big plays, their ability to take advantage of turnovers that ultimately cost Bama in this one, and Bama still really struggling to get the run game going. I think that's what's going to haunt them going forward against some of the better teams, because if you're able to stop the run and pressure Ty Simpson, the Bama offense becomes a lot less effective.
Yeah, and that's Brent Venables. Yep. That's what Brent Venables does, and he took a lot of heat early in his career. I wasn't a huge fan of, Venable. Like when I say huge fan, I mean like I didn't think he was doing a great job at Oklahoma early on after Lincoln Riley. But that's what Oklahoma is. That's their identity. They're going to be a tough team. Um, they're going to have that, like you said, they're going to have that grit. Here's some stats for you, Jay. Alabama 3 turnovers. Also, Alabama had 406 yards of total offense to Oklahoma's 216.
Okay.
Of course, the pick
Alabama has a
six.
missed field goal too.
Alabama has the mixed field goal. They threw a pick six. All these things add up. Oklahoma doesn't turn the ball over, and I think that's what it is. They also had 4 sacks on the day, pressuring Bama. Alabama should have had this one, but the mistakes that they made, Oklahoma made them pay for it and played great defense. And that's the way it goes, folks. That's how Oklahoma wins football games, and that's how they beat Alabama.
Yep. Sticking with the SEC, Georgia beats Texas 35-10. Gonna get my little horns down out. Just because I have
Already.
to. Listen, Georgia just controlled this one in the second half. Felt like Texas was hanging around, and then the horns just kind of faded there in the second half. The running game was non-existent for Texas. Weren't able to get anything going against the Georgia front. Georgia has not been great at rushing the passer. And when they tried to rush Arch with 4 guys, they weren't getting home. They started bringing some more exotics, and they got to Arch, and I think that changed the complexion of the passing game quite a bit too. From there, Georgia controlled it. The onside kick when they were up 11, and that felt like kind of the nail in the coffin at that point.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't feel like the Texas offense could get anything going. Massive win for the Bulldogs. They feel like one of the best teams in the country right now. I feel like they proved it in this one. Georgia just kind of landed to those body blows, and it led to the knockout in the fourth.
Yeah, this game's close. Georgia just takes control in the second half and makes them pay. Again, Texas offense is just not producing like they want to. They lost some pieces last year, and they're trying to rebuild that. We are going to do a preview, Jay, on the hunt. But since we're talking about it, is Texas out?
I don't think they're 100% out, but I think they need a lot of help. Yeah, they need a lot of things to happen elsewhere for them to have hope of getting back in, and they will need to win out against Arkansas and A&M in the coming weeks.
Scores from other games: Arizona beats Cincinnati. That's huge for ACC play.
Hey, yeah, Arizona 7-3 by the way.
Big 12 play.
Yeah, Arizona 7-3. Great effort from Neil Brennan and that squad. Noah Fafita feels like the player we thought he was 2 years ago, where he had it felt like took a step back last year. Really good year for Arizona, all things considered.
Yeah, and Noah Fafita, most passing touchdowns in Arizona history. Broke that record over the weekend. This is a game that I caught the end of. ECU beats Memphis 31-27 in Greenville. To our ECU listeners, I know there's a few of you that listen to the show. Huge win for your program. Beat Memphis and stay in the hunt. ECU is in the hunt for a potential playoff berth. They need some things to happen, but since they can potentially win the American, they are still in the hunt. Huge win for them.
Massive win for that program. You got to be thrilled if you're in Greenville, North Carolina right now. I never made this tie-in, but the Pirates being in East Carolina, obviously the death of the famous pirate Blackbeard was in North Carolina. No wonder. It makes so much sense.
Really?
How did I never piece this together?
I never knew that.
Anyways, that's a little history for you.
There you go. History today. No, that he also Blake Harrell, man. Yeah. What a job. What a job. Hire a guy from within. Huge job that he's doing there. I'm happy for them. That's a fun team, man, to follow. It really everything.
It seems like a really fun environment. Was it Dowdy Ficklin Stadium? Seems like a really fun place to watch again. I'm gonna have to get out there at some point.
Yeah. Oh, it's It's great. A bit of a party crowd there. But no, cool stadium, elite midfield logo. They have like their band has bandanas and pirate hats on. Um, I don't know. I just think it's a really cool environment and a really cool college town, Greenville.
Yeah.
Um, Arizona State beats West Virginia. I do want to mention that. Uh,
25
West Virginia,
23.
I thought, had this game.
Yeah.
25-23. Sincere Bowers had a heck of a run for West Virginia. I think it was like a 93-yard run. But Arizona State holds or scores and then holds at the end. Ole Miss gets a late touchdown to go up 10 against Florida.
Job
Florida just
rumors
seems
there.
I know. Florida just seems to be hanging with everybody for the most part.
Again, super talented roster. Billy Napier's teams, I feel like, made a lot of dumb choices, but I feel like they were always like tough. Like I feel like there was some fight about them always. Just never able to execute, and some of that identity still left. Just weren't able to quite get the job done against Ole Miss.
Yeah. And then this last one, Georgia Tech mini comeback against Boston College, who was having a very rough go of it. 36-34. Bill O'Brien, still good to see he has his fastball after Georgia Tech gets away with a illegal forward pass. They clearly get away with an illegal forward pass, and Bill O'Brien goes
Nuclear.
Absolutely Bill O'Brien. It was good to see that he still has his fastball.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, the thing that stuck out to me most in this game is Haynes King throwing the ball successfully. I think he threw for over 300 yards, and they needed to do that to win. They forced him to throw. He did, and Georgia Tech wins in a little mini comeback in Boston.
All right. Are you ready to talk a little bit of playoff action, Jake?
Who's in the hunt, Jay? So everyone listening, listen, I know college football is confusing. I know you're all busy. It's very hard to understand who still has playoff hopes. That's what we have you covered for. We're going to tell you who is still in the hunt and who should you be looking out for in this one. ACCJ, I got two. Georgia Tech and Virginia, I think, are the only two teams in the ACC that could go to the college football playoff. I think the champion will get in. One of them will.
And so I have to disagree with you that only two teams are still in it.
Oh.
Only because the ACC championship could very well end up being not Georgia Tech or Virginia, depending on how the last few weeks of the season shake out. So Georgia Tech and Virginia both have one ACC loss. The same can also be said for Pitt and SMU.
Okay.
So both of those teams with one SEC loss could find their way into it. And I don't know what the scenarios are for Miami to find their way into the ACC championship game. Like, I don't know if it's possible with two conference losses. But if Miami gets in, obviously they still have a shot at making it too, especially with how they are ranked at 15. Obviously, we'll get some new rankings tomorrow and see how that changes things. But I don't think Miami's completely out of it either. In fact, if there was going to be a second ACC team to make it that was not the champion, it would be Miami kind of scooting in somehow with some other pieces falling. So I would say that even if Miami doesn't make the ACC championship, they're not completely out of contention yet either.
And I think we might see something where, say it is Georgia Tech and Virginia in the ACC championship game, whoever wins that game going, and then Miami making it as a second team. And then whoever loses the ACC championship game is going to ultimately be a playoff game, I feel like, if it's not Miami.
And again, Pitt still has a chance. Here's the thing for Pitt. They have Georgia Tech and Miami to close out the season.
Okay, so they don't. Okay.
Not if
never
losing by 100.
Never say never.
SMU with Louisville and Cal left. Georgia Tech only has the Pitt game left as a
Mhm.
conference loss possibility. They do, of course, have Georgia looming large at the end of the season. You also have UVA in there. UVA is off this week and then has Virginia Tech. So that at most UVA will have one more conference loss,
Mhm.
and then Miami. Miami has Virginia Tech this week, and then Pitt to close out the season. So there are some fun scenarios that could occur there. Obviously, the potential of
Mhm.
Duke winning the ACC is gone after getting
Yes, that is
absolutely
gone.
destroyed by Virginia.
Yeah, Duke, you screwed me. I had you. Um, Big 12. Uh, I think whoever's the champion goes, and I still think whoever it is, Texas Tech and BYU also
Yeah, I think Utah still has a shot here.
outside. Yeah.
Uh, you look at what's left in the Big 12 slate. Texas Tech is off this week. BYU is headed to Cincinnati. That is going to be a very tough game for BYU.
Mhm.
They close the season out with UCF. They should be able to handle them. Utah has Kansas State, who's been struggling, and Kansas to close out the season. I think they win both of those games, and especially the way Utah has looked recently. You had the 53-7 win over Colorado. You had the 45-14 win over Cincinnati. And then you had a 55-28 thumping of Baylor. Utah, I think, could be one of those teams that could also kind of backdoor their way in. Even if they don't make the championship game, it'll be interesting to see if they take two teams from the Big 12 this year, depending on what happens with the championship game. But yeah,
No,
it's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
yeah, I think they definitely can though. Like I think they definitely. I think Utah might be able to backdoor their way into this.
I think so too, especially if BYU wins out and then
Mhm.
loses again to Texas Tech. I think that'll
Mhm.
be now if BYU wins out and beats Texas Tech in the Big 12, I think Texas Tech is still in.
Yeah,
As long
me
as
too.
Texas Tech wins the rest of the regular season, I
Mhm.
think they are a playoff team, come hell or high
Mhm.
water.
Yeah, the only thing there, Jay, is if BYU and Utah have a similar schedule, who won? Wait, who won that game?
BYU won head to head.
So I think that's also going to be something that if Texas Tech wins the championship, and if Utah and BYU have similar records, I think that's what will put them in, unless somehow BYU loses these next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think that's what
we'll
we have
see.
to
A
factor
lot
in.
of moving parts, though.
A lot of moving parts. The Big Ten, I think no matter what, Ohio State and Indiana are in.
I agree with you. Ohio State, Indiana have punched their ticket. They're in.
They're in. This is when it gets weird. Michigan, Oregon, and USC all have a chance. Oregon and USC, here's the thing. If Oregon beats USC, okay, USC is done. They're out.
Yes.
If USC beats Oregon, I still think Oregon may have a chance if Michigan eliminates themselves, like they lose to Ohio State.
Yeah.
That Michigan has to win out. USC has to win out. Oregon can still have a loss if the other two lose.
Oregon can still have a loss. Things could get interesting, just because people are going to point to Oregon's schedule and
Mhm.
say who have they beat. But I still think like being a 2-loss team in the Big Ten is enough to get you in my
Absolutely.
opinion. You have USC and Washington to close out the year, so 8-2 USC and USC obviously, like we talked about, still in the playoff hunt. Washington no longer in the playoff hunt, but still a 7-3 squad, and you're going to be on the road for that one. Not an easy end to the year for Oregon, so some
No.
things could happen. I still think they have the best chance out of those three teams. I think Michigan likely loses to Ohio State. USC likely loses to Oregon, but we'll see. We have plenty to talk about there too.
No, absolutely. Plenty. SECJ, A&M and Bama are in.
You think Bama's in?
Oh, they got to beat Auburn.
Yeah, and
A&M and
weird
Georgia.
things happen there. I do think A&M and Georgia are in for sure.
Right. Bama's got to beat Auburn.
Yeah. I believe A&M and Georgia both have, we'll just call it the foes that are not as good
Yeah.
this week. A&M has Samford, who is a 1-10 FCS squad that has fired their coach. Georgia has Charlotte this week. And in spite of the fact that we both thought Charlotte was going to be a little bit of a surprise contender in the American this
Yeah.
year, that did not come to
No,
fruition.
it didn't.
So really, A&M and Georgia, you're probably looking at 11-0 A&M after this week, 10-1 Georgia after this week. They should be good. Bama
Even if
still,
Georgia loses to Georgia Tech.
even if Georgia loses to
Mm.
Georgia Tech,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
That's
And that
it.
would be massive for Georgia Tech if they pulled that off, by the way.
Mhm.
They nearly did it last year, so don't
They
count
did.
that out. Bama needs to win out, in my opinion. If they lose to
Mm.
Auburn, they're in trouble there. Oklahoma also has to win out, and things aren't exactly easy for Oklahoma
Mhm.
after. It's not as challenging as some other places, but you still have Missouri and LSU,
Yeah.
and both of those teams are still pretty talented. Texas needs to win out and have a ton of help.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Ole Miss is a playoff team too.
Mhm. I
I
think
think
yeah.
because they have one loss and then they have Mississippi State. They're off this week, right? So 10-2 is the worst their record could be.
Yeah, 10-2 Ole Miss is in.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Ole Miss is going to be in.
I think A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss locked in. Bama is in good shape, but needs to win
Mhm.
out. Oklahoma, I think, is also in good shape, but is a little more challenged with their schedule at the end, and will need to win out. And then Texas needs to win out and have a ton of help.
Yeah. And then Notre Dame.
And then Notre Dame, who, as long as they don't eliminate themselves, they are
Yeah.
in.
They're going to be in at 10-2 as well.
They have Hughes and Stanford to close the year, so
Yeah, they should
take care of business.
They should take care of business
But they
there.
lost to Northern Illinois last year, so who knows?
You never know. All right. So now I think this is the one that everyone's going to be really hanging on to is who's going to be that last spot. I do think only one group of 5 gets in unless total chaos happens, but I believe one group of 5 gets in. Conference USA and MAC is just not their top of their class is just not strong enough.
Yeah.
Conference USA and MAC isn't going to make it. Mountain West, if there's, I'm talking complete catastrophic chaos, maybe San Diego State, but probably not.
Yeah.
Very, very low chance.
Yeah. And I mean, there are some wild scenarios that could happen in the Mountain West as far as that championship game goes. That you don't want to discount. San Diego State is ahead of the pack with one conference loss. Then you have Fresno State, Boise State, New Mexico, UNLV, and Hawaii, all with 2 conference losses. So some wild things could happen. San Diego State is really the only one with a true shot at possibly somehow making their way in, but I don't think the Mountain West is getting that kind of respect this year. And I'm also secretly hoping for either UNM, New Mexico, or Hawaii to somehow get their way into the Mountain West championship, because that'd be awesome.
It would be. Sunbelt, I think James Madison might have the best chance, and no one's talking about. Not if there is total chaos in the American, Jay. I'm talking they cannibalize itself. James Madison's going to be sitting there at 11-1 with they lost this. Who did they lose to?
They lost to Louisville in a game that it was tied in the fourth quarter.
It was tied in the fourth quarter. And they're going to be the only loss. And they've pretty much beat up everyone else. I think if there's chaos in the American, I think James Madison goes in. Like, if ECU finds some way to win the American, I can see them putting James Madison in over ECU.
I'll go one further than that, Jake. I think that if the season ended right now, James Madison would be my group of 5 team in the playoff. Now, this Washington State game could get interesting because even though it doesn't make any sense, they would have a common opponent with North Texas. North Texas smoked Washington State earlier this year. You know the committee is going to be looking at what James Madison does in this game against Washington State this weekend. James Madison has already secured their Sun Belt championship berth. They will be representing the Sun Belt East in that championship game. Whoever comes out of the West, whoever comes out of the West doesn't have a chance of making the playoff. just the way the season has gone for Southern Miss and Troy, I think are the teams still competing for that. James Madison, though, right now is my pick for the Group of Five representation in the playoff.
Yeah, I'm gonna see how the American shakes out, but right now I would pick James Madison.
Yeah.
As well.
And let's go ahead and dive into that with the American.
Oh God, yeah.
Because this is we already kind of talked about the scenario at the
Mhm.
top with Tulane, North Texas, ECU, and Navy all having just one conference loss. North Texas, I think, is the team with the best shot of making the postseason, the playoff, especially if they can win out and get to the American and win that championship game.
Mhm.
I think that the strength of record from that would push them past even a James Madison that had won out and done the same. I just think that the American, the top of that conference is better than the top of the Sun Belt. James Madison may be a better team, but I think, North Texas or Tulane or Navy winning out in this conference would just give them just a little bit more than what James Madison has. With that being said, those other teams, Tulane, Navy, ECU, if they somehow make it to the American Championship, those teams all have more than one loss. North Texas has the one loss to South Florida. It's the only blemish on their schedule. That's why I think North Texas winning out is probably the Americans' best chance at making the Group of Five berth for the playoff.
Yeah, I really think North Texas is going to be that team out of the American. I don't see Navy just because it'd be it would be so hard to put Navy in there and then them play Army right afterwards.
Yeah, but like you have South Florida, right? You've beaten South Florida if you're Navy, and now you have Memphis. If you beat Memphis and have those two, who are two of the best teams in the conference, even if they're not really in the conference title talks right now,
right?
If you beat both of those teams and you're in the American title game and you win the American title game, even with that Army Navy game looming, I think you have to put Navy in.
Yeah, I think in that route they choose James Madison.
Yeah,
and I think it would because it would be such a risk.
And Navy would have two losses,
right? And you're putting Navy in. What if they lose to Army? You just set yourself up. It's too much of a risk of, okay, in this hand, no one will really complain about it. And you don't have to worry about with egg on your face.
Yeah.
This other one is really cool and we like it, but there's too much of a risk there.
And the other piece of the scenario, I don't think Navy beats Memphis, but who knows?
That's something else we got. Yeah. Tulane still involved as well.
Yeah.
Tulane is still another team that's involved. I think Tulane has enough brand I hate that we have to talk about brand recognition with this, but if Tulane wins the American, I think Tulane's in. Yeah.
But it's either way, there is a lot of football left to be played.
Yeah, check out
over the next 2 weeks, and then also championship week. So, gonna be a lot to keep track of.
Yep. Jay, let's get into the FCS minute because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, this is going to be the FCS minutes because I have a ton on my mind when it comes to the FCS this week. So let's start with what happened last week in week 12. Stephen F. Austin beats Lamar 26-15. They win the Southland Conference by virtue of that win. Their defense, the Pine Curtain defense, Jake, I love that name for Stephen F. Austin with the Lumberjacks there, Nacogdoches. Massive year for that program. They have locked up a FCS playoff berth. They're ranked in the top 15. Really interesting to see how the rest of this year goes for them. The one loss they have this year in FCS competition is a one-score game against Abilene Christian, who is also ranked. So this is a very good SFA squad. Now, I want to talk about 3 incredible games happening this week in the FCS ranks.
Mhm.
3 incredible environments that game day could have elected to go to instead
Mhm.
of going to Eugene for the second time this year. And listen, I understand. I understand that this is a massive game with massive implications for the playoff in the FBS ranks. But you've already been to Eugene once. You've already featured Oregon as one of your game day games twice. Let me take you through this incredible slate of FCS games, Jake, starting with Brawl of the Wild. That's why I got my Big Sky hoodie on today. Number 3, Montana State at number 2, Montana, 1 p.m. Central Time on ESPN Plus. The Big Sky title is on the line. Both of these teams are undefeated in their conference. 123 meetings between these two schools dating back to 1897. Game day has been to Brawl of the Wild before. That was in Bozeman. They're playing in Missoula this year. Jake, this is a stadium that's called the Mecca of FCS football.
Mhm.
What an environment that would have been for game day. Option number 2 in the FCS ranks, if you wanted to talk about taking game day to an FCS game, a game simply known as the rivalry. Number 4, Lehigh at number 24, Lafayette. The Patriot League title on the line. Once again, both of these teams are undefeated in conference play.
Mhm.
So this will determine who wins the conference championship. This is the most played rivalry in college football with 160 meetings dating all the way back to 1884. Just an incredibly storied rivalry that not a ton of people who aren't college football like diehards like us know about. This is a fantastic opportunity to get to a place, showcase a game, right? This is what game day should be about, is showcasing things, traditions that
Mhm.
people aren't as familiar with. What a perfect time to go when both of these teams are ranked and it's a rivalry game to decide who wins the conference championship. Bonkers to me that this wasn't even considered. And then finally, the last one, I hate giving the Ivy League any kind of flowers. Those people don't need any more recognition. But I do have to admit that the game between number 10 Harvard and number 25 Yale, with the Ivy League title on the line, both of these programs are trying to get to the FCS playoffs now that the Ivy League is willing to participate
Mhm.
in the FCS playoffs. 140 meetings dating back to 1875. Once again, just would have been an incredible environment for college game day to go to. Jake, here's my problem. College football, as we always say, is about regionality. It's about
Mhm.
tradition. It's about the pageantry. It's about all of the people that are so passionate about their programs. Each of these 3 games, Brawl of the Wild, the rivalry, Harvard Yale, you know the fans would have showed up and shown out for game day to show up on those campuses. These are just incredible stories, and less so for the Ivy League, I have to admit, more so for the rivalry and for Brawl of the Wild, where you can show up to these games, showcase places that maybe not every college football fan recognizes, but the passion is just going to be off the charts at both of those places. I just it's a perfect opportunity squandered. I am so excited about all 3 of these games, and the we talk about implications. It's the last week of the regular season for FCS, and the
Mhm.
implications are off the charts for all 3 of these games.
Mhm.
Not to mention the history, right? I talked about it. All of these series go back to the 1800s.
Mhm.
Right. This is such a missed opportunity in my mind. And yes, I recognize that I'm biased for FCS football because I really enjoy this part of the sport. I feel like it's so authentic and so true to what college football was for me growing up. Uh I'm so bummed that we didn't get to see one of these
Mhm.
locations showcased. And that's my rant for this FCS minute.
I don't know how I'm gonna clip that because that was amazing and it was totally necessary. Jay, here's the thing: all 3 of these games date back to the 1800s. I'm biased because I grew up an hour and 20 minutes from Lehigh and Lafayette, which are both in Allentown, crosstown rivals. So I was really biased towards them. Have they ever been to Bozeman?
So they went to Bozeman.
Oh,
This is in
sorry,
Missoula
Missoula.
this year.
This is in
They have
Missoula.
not been to Missoula.
I've screwed that up multiple times on this
Nah,
show.
they're
Okay,
both beautiful places.
they haven't been to Bozeman.
They have been to Bozeman, have not been to Missoula.
Sorry, Missoula is where Montana is. The Grizzlies.
Yes.
Okay, God, I'm terrible at this. That is the game that if they didn't go to Lehigh Lafayette, I would like if they went to Montana, then I 100%
It's
agree
number
with it.
3 versus number 2. Big
Exactly.
Sky title on the line.
It's
Again,
teams that are featured on ESPN. The Montanas are two of the most featured. It's the Montanas and North Dakota, South Dakota are 4 of the most featured FCS programs on ESPN broadcasts. And you had a shot to have 2 of them in there. And Harvard, Yale also in there. That would have been my number 3 pick. But, and again, I sent a tweet out the other day or yesterday, and a lot of people agreeing with me like, hey, game day should have done this. But there's also people jumping in my DMs, jumping in the replies and just saying like, well, it's an elimination game. Like, why would they go to games that don't matter? And I'm doing air quotes for the people listening. It don't matter. And it's because, Jay, you and I love this sport. Yes, because we love football, but we love the uniqueness, traditions, and the nicheness.
it's
We
it's it's the
love the nook.
regional passions. It's the people that
Yes,
live and die by their programs that nobody else around the country really cares about. Like, you don't have the T-shirt Montana and Montana State fans
right.
unless you're in that region of the country. You don't have T-shirt Lehigh and Lafayette fans unless you're in that region of the
Right.
country. And there's nothing wrong with having T-shirt fans. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just that like you have such a different connection. And getting to see these people talk about the programs that they love, and it's not often that
Mhm.
these types of programs are highlighted on a scale like game day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it feels like such a missed opportunity. I want to see Lafayette get their shine. I want to see Montana get their shine. Again, I
Right.
don't really want to see the Ivy League get their shine, but it would
Because
still
they get
be
enough.
kind of cool and unique.
Right.
It's just I would have loved to see really. I just think more people should know about Lehigh Lafayette because it's not something that I heard about in Texas. As much as I love college football,
Right.
it's not something I was familiar with until I really started diving into FCS. More people need to know about this game.
People in Wilkes-Barre, where I grew up, don't know about Lehigh and Lafayette, and it's an hour and 20 minutes down the road. But Jay, and I think that's the thing where if they would have went to Lafayette or Montana, those people that live in that community would talk about that for the rest of their lives.
It
Of
is
it. Remember
the
when game day was
opportunity
here
to create one of the most special moments that you can have.
in
And
someone's life?
these programs don't get to have that opportunity often, if ever.
And this was my other part of my tweet that I think the people at ESPN making this decision are worried more about viewership than they are about what is best for the sport overall. And again, I don't know, obviously, I don't know anyone personally on the college game day staff, like obviously. But I guarantee you, like Reese Davis was talking about going to the Battle of the Ravine. And I guarantee you, if like Herb Street, McAfee, Reese Davis, those 3 guys, I think if you ask them, they would say, let's go to Montana. I think McAfee 100% might even make a comment about going to why aren't we in Montana?
Yeah.
Like, I truly believe those guys love the sport so much that they would love to go to places like that.
And
Especially
Jake,
Reese Davis.
you're talking about viewership. I don't think where game day is affects viewership at all. I really don't. I don't think it makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I think like again, having the opportunity to use your platform to highlight these places that don't get as much attention is something that people who love this sport and
Yep.
try to advocate for this sport should do more. And there's again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record. This is just such a missed opportunity, in my opinion.
I have an analogy here for you, Jay. I thought about this. So game day choosing Oregon USC, which by the way, Autzen is in Eugene is a fantastic it's a fantastic venue. It's a great fan base. Like this is not a we don't like Oregon. It's that hey, there's other people here that need their shine, other programs that deserve to shine. But I thought of this analogy the other day. Jay, I'm a huge Kiss fan. Okay, like the band Kiss. I'm a huge Kiss fan. If you go to a Kiss concert, it is a spectacle every single show. Okay. You don't have to worry about people not showing up to a Kiss show, just like you don't have to worry about people not tuning in for game day.
Yeah.
Okay. The lead singer of Kiss, who sings most of the songs, is Paul Stanley. And they ask Paul Stanley quite sometimes, hey, why don't you play some of the deep cuts? You know, like you have you have more gold records than any band. Why don't you play some of the songs that don't really get a lot of airtime or you haven't played in a while? And he always says, hey, when people come see Kiss, they want us to play the hits, and then maybe we'll throw one or two in there. No one wants to see us play the deep cuts. And I think this is what ESPN is doing. They're not playing the deep cuts. They're playing the hits. They're playing Rock and Roll All Night, and they're playing Detroit Rock City and Shout It Out Loud and Beth Every Night. And damn it, I want to hear Coming Home. I want to hear Making Love in 100,000 Years. Okay? So, like, that's what I'm talking about. So I think it's very much like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still going to hear the hits. You're still going to go to Oregon and Penn State
and they're
all
still
these places.
And if they go to like a venue like this, they're still going to talk about all those games.
Exactly.
Like, you're not missing the analysis.
Yes, exactly.
And to be honest with you, I don't watch game day for the analysis.
No.
I watch it to see all the crowd interactions.
Exactly. I do like Nick Saban's analysis, though.
Yeah,
I think he does a great job.
Coach is pretty good.
Yeah, but like, I know, but before we wrap up this segment, like, exactly, that's what people don't get. Like, I kept getting that in my replies, like, why would they want to talk about this game? Like, they're not going to. They're like, yeah,
they will talk about it. They'll talk about the environment around it. Right. They'll talk about the history. They'll talk about traditions. They get like 5 minutes for the game at the end.
Right. You're still gonna get the analysis of everyone else in the country that you want. It's not like they're going to have 3 hours of just Montana State, or 3 hours of Lafayette and Lehigh. No, they're going to talk about the last couple minutes and the start and a little bit in the middle, and then they're still going to talk about everything else. Jay, in a week where, let's face it, isn't the strongest week in college football.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this would have been perfect for any of those. Montana, them not going to Montana, I think, is the most ludicrous, because it's 2 versus 3 against 2 teams that are constantly on ESPN broadcasting programming.
Yeah.
Always. Like you said, it's a major missed opportunity.
Yeah. And again, all of these are for conference titles. Like, it's not like there's nothing on the line here.
No, they're all for conference titles. Yeah, I know. It's
goofy.
All right.
Let's talk about the rest of the college football slate.
Let's get into picks.
Yeah.
Hawaii, a Friday night. This is a late one, folks. This is Mountain West After Dark, 10:15 Eastern Standard kickoff time. Hawaii at UNLV. UNLV is a -2.5, or UNLV is a 2.5 point favorite at home. I have to do it, Jay. Over 64.
Give me the Bows, baby. Hawaii goes to Las Vegas and pulls off the upset. There's a trophy for this game. I can't remember what it is. It feels like Hawaii has like a lot of trophy games.
Oh, I did this.
Yeah.
There
is a trophy, but I'm taking the Bows. I'm taking the Rainbow Warriors. Hawaii is going to win this game.
Ooh, I like it. They play for the pineapple. Golden pineapple. Nice. I did not do this one yet. Tomorrow. I might.
Well, there you go. You have an idea.
I think I have an idea.
Mizzou at OU. Oklahoma is a 9.5 point favorite. This is an old rivalry too.
It is.
These two teams Missouri does not like Oklahoma, by the way. I
No,
don't think
hate.
Oklahoma feels as deeply about it,
Mm.
but Mizzou despises Oklahoma. This is going to be a fun one. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a hangover game for OU. I think Mizzou covers. I think OU wins, though.
I think Mizzou covering. Yeah. Mizzou plus 9.5. I like it. I like it. BYU at Cincy. Cincy letdown game last week. Oh, listen, only a 1.5 point dog at home. Give me the Bearcats plus
Ooh.
1.5.
Could get interesting. I think BYU also could get caught looking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, Jake, Nippert at night.
I know. Nippert at
Nippert at
night.
night. I am taking Cincinnati in this one.
Yep. Nippert at night. Wazoo at James Madison. We put this one in here because it is huge playoff implications here. Minus 13.5 for James Madison. Over under set at 42.5. Give me the over, Jay, because there's a chance James Madison might do it themselves.
This is a noon Central Time kick, which means that it's going to be an early day for Wazoo going to the East Coast to play at James Madison. Again, there is a little bit of playoff implication here with James Madison, but also the common opponent with North Texas. James Madison is going to be out to make a statement. I like James Madison to cover.
Yeah. Premier game of the week, USC at Oregon.
Wrong. We just had that discussion, Jake. I'm not calling it the premier game of the week.
USC at Oregon. Oregon, a 7.5 point favorite. Over under set at 59.5. Ooh, I don't know. That's a lot of points. I'm leaning over 59.5. Over 59.5.
I think USC is going to make this one close. I think this is going to be a tough game for Oregon. Last time game day came here, Oregon had a disappointing performance against Indiana. I don't think they lose this time. I think they win and eliminate USC from playoff contention, but I do think that USC covers.
Okay. Arkansas at Texas. Texas, a 10-point favorite over the Razorbacks. Over under set at 57.5. I'm feeling it too. Ooh, pig. Suey.
Arkansas has been competitive in each of their games since Bobby Petrino has taken over as the interim coach. They haven't done enough to win, but the way Texas has struggled offensively, man, I think Arkansas covers in this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think they have enough to get it done. But this is the other thing too. Texas coming off a disappointing loss, maybe looking ahead to the rivalry game last game of the season against A&M. Arkansas does have the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible here.
Arkansas plus 10. I like Arkansas plus 10. The game I will be at, we're talking about it. Nebraska at Penn State, two fringe blue bloods fighting it out. Penn State, 9.5 point favorite, by the way. Wow. And because of that, Jay, give me Nittany Lions minus 9.5. They're going to blow out the Huskers at home.
To avoid the jinx, I'm going to take Nebraska to cover.
There we go. Love it. Tennessee at Florida, old 90s rivalry here. Florida, 3.5 point dog at home. Over under set at 57.5. Staying away. I don't have a feel.
Nope. I mean, I would lean Tennessee in this one just because I think they're a more complete team at this point. But weird things happen in the swamp with an interim coach. So this is going to be a spooky game.
Yep. Pitt at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, 3-point favorite. Over under set at 62.5. I don't know. I honestly do not know. I want to say Georgia Tech is going to control this game in the trenches, but Pitt is just such a weird football team.
Jake, I'm gonna take
Tech.
I'm
Give me
gonna
Tech.
take it out. Take all the confusion out of this. Georgia Tech is going to mollywop Pitt in the
Oh,
trenches,
mollywop.
and Georgia Tech will punch their ACC championship ticket by courtesy of this victory over Pitt at home
Okay.
at the Dodd. Big win for Georgia Tech.
Okay. Cal at Stanford. We got to talk about the Axe.
Have
We got
to.
to talk about the Axe. Over under 48 and a half. I don't have the line for this one.
We don't need the line. We just want the band to run
Cal.
out on the field. Yeah.
Give me Cal.
Give me Cal
What?
in this one too. The quarterback, again, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his name because I would butcher it horribly. I just think Cal is so much better offensively when they're at their best, and they're not going to have to travel for this one. You're just going right across the bay.
Right.
Not too much struggle there. Give me Cal.
Cal is a 3-point favorite.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me Cal in this one. Jay, we have, again, I made a comment that this isn't the strongest slate in college football, but man, isn't that when it's the absolute best?
Yeah.
So
It's
only
the
have a
UFC
couple
cards
weeks left.
that don't look good on paper that always
Exactly.
deliver the action.
Exactly. So Jay, land this plane for us.
Listen, you listen to me rant about the FCS games that game day should have gone to. Tune into those FCS games this weekend. It is the last game of the regular season for those FCS programs. We'll also have D2 and D3 playoffs starting up soon. So tune into those because college football is almost over. You're going to want to watch as many games as you can to soak in this last bit of the season. Do all the things that help us grow as a podcast. 5-star reviews, like, subscribe, share with a friend. Word of mouth. It still works, folks. Download Battle Bets and let them know that we sent you. We appreciate each and every one of you who take the time to listen to this program week in and week out. It's always a blast talking college football with you, Jake. Man, let's close out the season strong.
Hell yeah, buddy. From all of us at the Get Back Coach, have a great week.